Hello everyone and welcome to the 13th episode of this Building a Micronation series. In the last episode we built this custom airport and we created even more jobs after the major job crisis our country suffered. People without a job still need an affordable place to live, so in this episode we're going to work on a district with a lot of low-rent housing. So we're going to extend the capital city once more with building a new neighborhood over here next to the highway. And with being close to the waterfront, it's still a pretty nice area to build some houses. But we are also really close to the rail yard and there's a recycling center as well. So probably also not the most desirable area for example, luxury apartments or so. Let's start to build though, starting with removing a little section of the highway first and then preparing the terrain to build a new big neighborhood. As you can see here, a little problem we got is that there's a lot of air pollution coming from the recycling center. So downwind of this building we can't place any housing. We can still build some commercial zones and offices, so that's also what we're going to do later on over here. But first I'm lowering the terrain a little because we will sink the highway into the ground, creating a nice barrier between the neighborhood and the traffic. This will not only look nicer, but in theory also stop noise pollution from coming from all the cars and trucks that will use this stretch of highway. Also, this is one of the most busy pieces of highway in our country so far. Almost all traffic coming in and out of the capital city has to pass here. We will as well build some on and off ramps here, so traffic that wants to enter the neighborhood has easy access to it. To create these on and off ramps, I'm first placing down this new type of road and connecting that to the two-lane one-way pieces of highway. Placing highways is always a pretty time-consuming process, definitely once you make them a little more complicated. So that gives me time to ask you to subscribe to the channel if you didn't do so yet. I'm going to create way more episodes in the future for this Micronation series and you definitely don't want to miss out on that. I'm going to shut my mouth for a little bit though for you to enjoy this build, and we'll come back once we finish laying down the road network. Okay, so I think you get the idea of what I'm building over here. I'm skipping through the last part of this road network build. We filled up the whole area with the roads we need so far. Later on, I will still add a few alleyways or side roads, but with what we have now, we can at least start placing down the first buildings. I'm going to start with the commercial and office buildings because, as said earlier in the episode, the center of this neighborhood has some air pollution blowing over all the time because of the recycling center nearby. For the most part of this build, I will place the buildings manually. I really want to give this neighborhood a more custom look, so zoning will not work for that here. Also, I will mix a lot of different zoning types to each other, and with the mods Anarchy and Move It, from time to time I will place buildings a little closer to each other. Closer at least to what's possible in the base game without running these mods. We are in the downtown area of this neighborhood, so you will also see me placing down a few more parking places in this part. It's getting a little repetitive, so I'm not going to show you how I place down every single building. So I'm skipping through this process a little bit. Here though, I'm doing a few more details, placing even more parking. And then I thought it would also be cool to have like a little construction site in the middle of the neighborhood. In real life you often also see this if you walk around in the city. In the game, however, once all buildings are placed, you don't really see these nice details coming back anymore in the city. And with all commercial and office buildings in place, it's time to start placing down some housing. Starting off with these big low-rent apartments. I don't want to make it too ugly, so I thought these ones I'm placing down here still look acceptable. They look a little more modern, with the different colors on the outside, and the balconies are also pretty nice to have. Definitely because you can look out to the ocean from this part of the city. And to not make it one huge concrete jungle in between these high-rise buildings, I create some parks with pathways and a lot of different tree types. Also I use some custom surfaces so the area looks a little more clean and interesting. And I guess by now you get what I'm doing, so also skipping through the next part of the build. We place down a bunch of these low-end flats, and now I'll place down some row housing and now and then a few medium density housing types. Also, this is getting a little repetitive if I show you every little detail. So with the majority of the buildings placed down, the neighborhood looks like this now. And to get a bit more detail into the area, I'm going to start with detailing the waterfront, and later on I will detail the area around the highway and rail yard a little more. And that finishes our build for today. So we can make a district of this neighborhood. I'm going to call this neighborhood Bayside. If you have any other suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comments. I hope you liked this video. The build was a little more boring compared to the last 2 episodes, but it's always important to have these kind of areas in your city to make them a little more realistic. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, feel free to do so. I got a lot of new ideas to build for this Micronation series. For now though, enjoy the cinematics and I see you at the next one.